I think maybe David might have said that it reminded him of Ummagumma. I personally think that I hear more references to Saucer Full of Secrets. I think, but as I've heard people say, it reminds them of Medal, or it reminds them of Wish You Were Here. As I say, I think we found ourselves picking up elements of previous albums. I mean, in fact, there is one section on the record which is a recording that Rick made in 1968, playing the Albert Hall organ in London, and which was a really surprising thing to find. And I had no idea this existed, but it seemed particularly absolutely the right moment to use this and to bring it into this particular record. The answer is I don't know. I suspect it was in the vaults at EMI, because that's really where most of our tapes are kept and have been kept historically for the last 40 something years. But every now and again there's something that is a surprise. I mean, for me, the last time this happened was when we did the Discovery version of Wish You Were Here, and we found the version of that song with Stefan Grafelli, the violin player, which I remembered the recording, but I assumed that we had actually wiped that particular piece of music. We hadn't. So, and this is of the same sort of thing. I had no idea this had been saved, and I actually don't know where it was saved. Well, about 3 years ago, I think. I think that's partly to do with the actual instrument. There's something about a proper organ that is so equated with church music. Although unusually, the Albert Hall organ, it was never. I mean, it's designed to play in a concert hall. It was never a religious building. But I know what you mean. But it is, I think, just that church organ sound that. I'm not sure what we called the event. I thought it was called the Masked Gadgets of Auximenes, but it could have been the Amazing Pudding, and it could have. But the actual piece that he was rehearsing to play was the end section of Saucer Full of Secrets, which is on the record. I think it's played on the Hammond organ, but because we had an orchestra there that evening, Rick was learning or practicing playing that particular section on the Albert Hall organ, apparently. But in those days, we all nailed our kits to the stage, because otherwise they'd just keep creeping across. It didn't last very long.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think it's considered to be a rite of passage for nearly all rock groups to be banned from the Albert Hall and banned from the Royal Festival Hall. Yeah. No, very sometimes very moving, because, as I say, one of the major sort of qualities on these tapes was there was so much playing from Rick, and one forgets what people do and how things sound, and when you replay things, it's half the time you listen and you think it's disappointing, and half the time you think that's really good.
So
no, it was very. I'd forgotten that we'd actually done this, but unusually, because we were taping things all the time, we'd actually put a small, like a GoPro, but they didn't exist in those days, but a small fixed camera, almost like a security camera, really, and had just sort of unusually, we've actually got all this film of us of playing together, which. I think it fits really well with all we're saying about this thing of the importance of working together. I think it's really quite nice that you can see it in action. No, I mean, I think it's a reminder that in a way we're very short of film material from most of our career. Whenever we played live, everyone was worried about bootlegging, and so cameras were banned usually and tape recorders were banned. Being wise long after the event, it's a great shame. We should have let everyone film everything. I think people can do whatever whatever works for them is fine. I think it'd be great if Pete and Roger go back on the road because that's still the Who. But I think if, as I say, David said he really doesn't want to do it, and if David doesn't want to do it, then I'm not going to do it on my own. Yeah, but there are other opportunities to play. I haven't stopped playing the drums, and I don't intend to. Well, I think we were very fortunate that when Storm died, the person who we've started working with is Aubrey Poe, who was Storm's partner in hypnosis for many years, and Poe was the man who shot all the photography on the Dark Side of the Moon cover, for instance. So he was very familiar with the music and familiar with the style. He's an old friend of ours anyway, and he was terrifically helpful in stepping in and helping us sift through lots of ideas and graphics. And I have to say, I think David and I both feel that this is as good a Pink Floyd cover as we've ever done. And we're really happy with it. I mean, the only sad thing, so much music will be downloaded or streamed or whatever. A lot of people will never see it. I've done a number of things with Roger. I mean, apart from very occasional sort of guest appearance with The Wall, I did some shows with him when he did a tour of Dark Side of the Moon. Yeah, maybe there's a job there. Well, it's not the end of Pink Floyd, but it's the end of the touring and the touring, and I can't see us going back into the studio again. And I think David will kill me if I suddenly go, oh, well, maybe it's not, because I think it is.